Hi, everybody. Welcome to And Just Like Yap. I'm Caroline,
I'm Andy.
and we are here. It's time. If you are over here, we are recapping episodes 4 and 5 of Traitors US tonight. So this is a huge spoiler alert. If you are here on this live, we are going to be spoiling every single thing that happened in episodes 4 and 5. So if you are watching this before you watch the episode, we're actually kind of flattered that you would rather hear us recap it before you watch it. So actually, that's huge for us. Uh,
Huge.
but do not spoilers are about to happen starting now, and I think we have to start the recap with a big old toast because
Mm.
ding dong, the witch that is Michael Rappaport is dead, everybody.
Cheers. I'm drinking the blood of the traitor,
You're
also known
drinking,
as Minute Maid fruit punch. I'm drinking
which
the
is
fountain water, the bloody traitor's fountain water.
oh my god. All right, we cut off one of the heads of the two-headed dragon so we can celebrate
Yes.
the traitor. The faithfuls got it sort of right.
What a relief. And you had a theory that the reason they released 2 episodes this week instead of just one, which they will
Mm,
be for the remainder, is because they knew that the audience needed to see Michael Rappaport leave, or we
yeah.
would not be able to last another week.
And I think that was correct. I feel also like it feels like we're in it with the faithfuls and traitors. So like we
Yes.
also couldn't sleep in the castle tonight if Michael Rappaport was still awake.
Yes.
How are we feeling overall before we really get into it? Like what are we I just feel a sense of like weight off of us, but I
Yes.
do hate Colton as much as I hate Michael Rappaport. So like I'm not fully at ease.
Colton sucks. I really don't
Yeah.
like him. And I'm also like, I understand why people don't like Ron Funches, especially since uh it was clarified tonight that he's just not playing the social aspect of the
Yeah.
game at all, which like we've talked about this before, it's a social game. You do need to push that
Mhm.
aspect of it.
Yeah.
So I understand that, but everyone's so mean to him and he's just like it hurts my
I
heart.
know.
It hurts my heart when everybody's so mean to Michael Rappaport. And I also finally there is suspicion on Colton at the end of the second
Yeah.
episode that was released tonight, and we'll talk about that. But I feel like this season is weird. Like the typical things that usually happen aren't happening.
And that's
For
traitors,
example,
baby.
why are we still I know. Why are we still hung up on Ron? Like it's been with Portia, that was like
Well,
fuck
no.
Portia.
Okay, but here's the thing is I think that they're playing a smarter game this time. I think like the Ron actually okay, because here's what I think. The Ron thing is very smart on Candace's behalf. And I
It
think
is, yes.
because she's keeping her vote consistent, it's also leading into my other thing that that I think that is a collective issue with traders in general is I do not like how black women are treated on this show and no one listens to the black women on this show as like the end of episode 4 was so devastating. But it's also with Candace, it's like yeah, I was like, no one's listening to her about Ron because she is a black woman, which is why I do also think Candace is going to go far. I think just based off of the edit before, like the way that we're seeing a lot of talking heads from Candace, tracking that, it's sort of building the winners at it, I think, for me.
Really?
Yeah,
I'm not great at noticing that stuff, but you might be right. Why don't we now shift into
shift into
actually
episode 4. Yep, yep, yep.
recapping because you and I will do
I
this
know.
forever.
That was
Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah. But that was just like lights just
no,
flying
yeah,
overhead.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Also we want to
Absolutely.
hear what you all think in the comments. So please let us
Yes,
know.
please.
We want to interact. So let us know because it's easy for us to get in our little world. But we get to the top of episode 4. We are at breakfast after the Faithfuls slash Lisa Rinna were allegedly tied to the trees in the woods. And my
Yeah.
immediate thing, yeah, Jam Jam is the first one to walk in. I was like, oh, that's a bird girl walking into breakfast with that jacket, like leftover from Susical. I like that feather jacket.
I loved it. I
I
love
know, yeah.
that people get so into the outfits, which is
It's
so
great.
funny to me because then they go on a mission where they have to like change into like clothes they can get dirty in.
I
But
know.
like whenever anybody gets voted off, not whenever, but like certain people when they get voted off, they're like, I had so many more outfits. Like everybody
Yeah,
is like very prepared to have to walk like breakfast is like a fashion show,
I
in
know.
addition to being like a breakfast and a reveal of who was murdered.
It's
Um
it's great. I wanted to see Yam Yam like in the background of an amazing Maisie and an amazing Gertrude just
Yeah,
go.
that was a Seussical ass jacket. It really was. It was
Um,
amazing.
and they start coming in and they do the very smart thing where which they've done in previous seasons of Traitors where they
Yes.
have the face to face where they say, "Let's ask each one of them as they come in to see if their stories match up." And
Yes.
then if we can suss out if there was a traitor. And immediately I knew Rinna was gonna fuck up.
I
And
I was sitting there being like, I really hope that she has watched previous seasons and like made note of the fact that she was gonna have to like report this because especially this group of people, they are rampant. Like they will
yep,
not let up. Um yeah, you said you knew she was gonna fuck
I,
this up.
I knew she was gonna fuck it up. The minute she also was like licking her lips, there were just like all these telltale signs. And then there's something that Dorinda said there. It's crazy. This is in my notes at the beginning of episode 4. I was like, this edit is setting up Dorinda banishing Rinna. And this is before anything else has happened.
Wow. What did
It,
she say?
I don't know what she said at this moment. I think there was something that she said about like, oh, that's weird. She's like being quiet. There was like something specific she said at the breakfast
Okay.
table that Dorinda said. I was like, oh, she's like, this is going to come back later, I think. But like, I was like, I
Hmm.
think Dorinda's slowly catching on to Rinna, especially, like I said, I think it was intentional by the editors leaving in episode 1 or 2 when she was like, I can't believe Rinna voted for Portia. I was like, this is going to
Yeah.
bite Rinna in the ass, her voting against a housewife.
Yeah.
And so I think we're about to see that. What I think we're building to eventually is we're going to have a Dorinda slash Rinna roundtable for the ages.
Oh my God. I really hope so because so far, the Dorinda medley that is on this show is not the Dorinda medley that we know and love. And I think it's because she hasn't had that much alcohol on the show.
Well, I
Slash,
think,
nobody has accused her fully yet.
right, right.
So nobody's like really lit the fire and like, or put the alcohol slash gasoline on the fire. So yes, I hope that we do get I hope that we do get Epic Dorinda because
Yeah,
Epic Dorinda,
is something else. She's starting. I wrote that on my notes several times. Dorinda's starting like throughout the episodes.
she's getting started up. And I
Yeah,
hate that Dorinda was like kind of pals with Michael Rappaport because
I
I was like, if
know.
anybody, the only person that I trust that can like shut this man up and like actually ruin his life with speech is Dorinda, and she won't do it.
Well, it's because she knows him. That's
I
unfortunately the thing. Is
know.
because of
That's
the
I hate
housewives.
it.
It's
I know.
terrible. But here is where Ron is one of the people who's tied up, and he starts talking about how he heard light feet. When he was
Yes.
tied up, and it says it's our girl Maura, from Love Island, and I was like, what? I was like, light feet, like. I mean, like
I
any
mean,
there's a lot of dainty little women left in the castle.
there are, and they're grasping at straws. They like
Yeah,
they're trying to look for any evidence, and but they can't see, so they're using their ears. Um, so I mean, like, good on him for observing that, but like that doesn't
yeah.
really give you much, nor does it mean that it's Mara. Like,
No, exactly. It's just like such a crazy, like out of left field sort of guess. And then Eric sort of sets us up for he's like, I feel like I heard something very specific, but I'm not going to get into it yet. I was like, what did he hear? Like that let him know who it was. But
mhm.
he sort of plants the seed, and we as the viewers don't really. At that point, did you have any idea of who he thought it was?
I had no idea, and I
Yeah.
actually even said aloud, I was like, "They're not. He's not even going to say in the interview. Like, I want to know."
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. I will say, also I noted that Colton looked like the Queen Elizabeth II in that stupid outfit with the
Yeah.
sweater over the shoulders. I was like,
He
who?
also had like a weird pants chain
Yeah,
too that was giving me like works at Hot Topic, but like fancy.
I know. And he has that tie that is like way too short for his shirt, and he looks like
Yeah.
he's a bad server at like a Morton's steakhouse. Like, it's just
Yeah. Yeah. Some of the fashion choices Colton is making, I don't
too
really
much.
understand them.
So we like obviously cut to we're like, okay, who is the person who was murdered? And we get to see a flashback of the night before of the recreation of the murder. And we predicted last time, unfortunately, it was icon legend Caroline Stanbury, Real Housewives of Dubai, Ladies of London. And it was okay. Everything about this interaction was like, this is iconic. Caroline you couldn't have a more iconic way to leave this show.
Yeah.
Rinna, this is where like classic Rinna was coming through. Like if you've watched Beverly Hills, you know this well. This is from like her and Denise Richards one-on-one, her and Kim Richards one-on-one. Like we've amped up the soap Rinna, like Housewives Rinna to 11 when she was like,
Yes.
back to Dubai you go. Too bad, Caroline. And she's like, I'll see you at BravoCon. No, you won't. I was like, oh my God. I just was like, yeah, only Rinna could murder a housewife like this face to face. Like, and
I
it just
know.
be like really twist the knife.
I really wonder if they tell the traitors to like ham it up because I know they tell them probably to be serious in these face-to-face murders, but like
Oh,
it seemed like
I,
a
I,
little bit
I
over
hate
the top.
I hate to tell you that's Rinna. That's Rinna when she's in housewife mode. Nothing about that was over the top for Rinna. That is like I was like, okay,
Oh my
I'm
god.
telling you, you're going to have to go back and watch the Denise and Rinna like one-on-one where she's like,
Yeah.
"Ooh, you're so mad." Like it's she's done this a
Yeah.
million times. So I was
I
not
love that
shocked.
Caroline Stanberry though said at BravoCon because
Ocon.
based on what I've heard, that is definitely a time for people to air grievances.
Yeah. Well, and also Rinna's famous last appearance at BravoCon, she was booed on stage and she gave the audience the double middle finger like she was in the WWE. So, because Housewives is wrestling are go hand in hand.
We're
Um,
they really do. We're so lucky to have the housewives. We're
yeah,
so
it's
lucky.
yeah, it was incredible. But we got to also I loved Alan coming in. I was like, I love that he knows that leopard print is a neutral. I
Yeah.
loved that under his I was like,
Yeah.
I love this look. But and my
Oh,
favorite
yeah,
line he
absolutely.
said, he was like snatched like a housewife's jawline.
I know.
Uh and
I
also
know. None of the housewives have their original necks.
no, not anymore. But I also was like, too much poor Caroline talk. I don't need to hear this as a Caroline. This is too much. And then we start to see, I was like, Candace is just being really smart. I think like at this point, I just
Yeah.
really think her tactic, she's doing like Phaedra but better. Like Phaedra with a strategy. Like
Yes. Yes.
she's like making friends with everyone, and especially like I love her little trio with Johnny and Tara. Like I was
Hmm.
like these little twinks, like all three of them. I love
Yeah.
the three of them together, but she's being
I think it's because like she's being very genuine. Like I actually
yeah,
think she does like all these people and want to become friendly with them and like that definitely shines through. Nobody suspects her
no,
at this
no.
moment. Nobody.
I think like it's a combo of her like pageant history and then like I think
Mm,
that is like helping her realize like I have to be Miss Congeniality, but
yes.
also like I don't know, she's just playing the game very well. And again, I said like keep an eye on the edit the next couple episodes because I think Candace will be going far.
Yeah.
And then this is when we get to the point in the episode Colton has decided he's going to go for Tiffany.
Yeah. And
Um,
is like this is something that like
dogged,
really
dogged.
yes, dogged. Good word. This is something that really annoys me on Traders is that people have almost nothing to go on. Like Colton, if he like when he
Yeah,
actually presented his evidence,
it
there
was
really wasn't any.
no.
His evidence was that Tiffany was suspecting other people and being vocal about it. And I'm like, that's what you're doing right now. And that whole episode annoyed me that they went
I
along with him
know.
because I was like, why isn't anyone pointing the finger at Colton? Because traditionally on Traders, the
Yes,
louder you are about somebody else,
then
the more it comes back around on
yeah.
you. Which it will. It looks like it's going to, but it didn't without the casualty of Tiffany, unfortunately. But yeah, so he starts presenting his Tiffany theory that like honestly really didn't have much to
It
back it
had
up.
no legs. It's just like it's frustrating. I think we see this almost every season, like how these like big dog men sort of dominate the conversation and
Yes.
they allow like everyone to like lose their mind and their opinion and like what they actually were thinking at that point.
Yes.
And then make them go in the complete opposite direction. And it's always wrong. It's always bad. It's just like, again, have we had enough of most men? I just
I know. It's so interesting because like we're all myopic. We put things in the perspective of
yeah.
ourselves. And I'm like, I can't imagine being in this situation and wanting to be that much of a leader early on and feel comfortable with that. But it's like, I mean, the man wasn't he an NFL player or like a,
Yes. Yes.
yeah. So whatever. Like,
It's It's bad.
He was
Yeah.
he was socialized to be this way, so
Yeah.
I guess I get it.
It's unfortunate. But we get to our challenge, and there are these giant effigies, which I know you haven't seen you haven't seen either of the Wicked movies, but they
I
look like
have
the
not.
giant.
I've seen part of the first one.
Okay, well they looked like the effigies of Elphaba that they light up during No One Mourns the Wicked. I immediately was like, oh, are we gonna? This is a Wicked crossover. But no, we find out the
I
challenge.
actually have seen effigies on Outlander, so don't
Oh
worry.
wow. Okay, all right, effigies, the word
I'm
of the
very
night.
familiar with Scotland because I've watched several seasons of Outlander.
Scotland, yes, we love the Outlander. Jamie, that's his name, right? I haven't seen an episode of the
Jamie.
show.
Yes,
I
Jamie
picked up
is
what
his name.
Jamie is his name, and we shall remember him well. But we find out they have to divide up into teams, and they have to find the spears in the woods and these like little dolls that match the person of like a shield. And basically, they pick a name for the shield, and if your shield is burned, then you're eligible for murder that evening.
Yes.
And so during this challenge, also I had a note. I was like, who designs these challenges? Is it like Philip Seymour Hoffman in the Hunger Games? Like I feel like there's like the game
It's
master. Yeah,
it's funny that you say Hunger Games because the noise that they use, the like foghorn noise to let everybody know that like
yeah. Is the
somebody
died?
was just burned. Yeah,
Yeah,
Jim was like, it's like Hunger Games. Yeah, no, this so funny. Michael Rappaport has no idea what the fuck is going on. He
no,
literally just listened
no.
to all of the instructions and then they go off into the woods and he pulls down one of the dolls that is just supposed to lead them to the spears and he's like, I got the doll.
But
And everyone's like, so fucking what?
I know. And like, okay, thank you, Michael. Again, no, there are no brains. Nothing's on inside that head of his.
No.
And
No. Yeah.
but also during this challenge is the first time we hear Rinna's name brought up. Monet and
Yes, by
Candace,
Monet.
Monet and Candace have a short little interaction in the woods where he's like, "I don't trust Lisa." I just immediately always like didn't, and of course Candace is like, "Uh oh."
Hmm.
Spidey senses Rinna's name is going off, and here's what I'm going to say to this
Yeah.
point: what I think our traders have done well in comparison to other seasons, they're actually working together. It's a
Together, yes.
it's amazing how much more the traders can get done when they work together versus going in like that. They're just thinking about the prize at the end. And it's like, you can't even think about the prize if you don't get through the game, like if you're not working together.
Yeah, you have to work together at the very least until the heat is so
Yes.
on one of you that there's nothing you can do anymore. You
Yep.
get much more done when you stay together. This is the thing I fucking hated about Danielle. And then also, I guess, Carolyn too,
And
because
Dan, the season before.
yeah,
Dan,
yeah,
like, yeah, it's like Tale as Old as Time. The gamers, I'm sorry, I know a lot of people are upset, like people who love Big Brother, they're upset there are no gamers in the turret. But I'm sorry, this has been a more enjoyable game to watch as a viewer because the traders are actually like, we're not getting any Boston Rob. He's like, I'm voting for Bob the drag queen, even though it was funny and we love Boston Rob.
I
Uh,
know. And I also, that whole cast like loves each other, even though it
I
was
know.
so tumultuous. So it's fine.
Uh,
Yeah. So
but
they get the
I was gonna say
spears.
also I have
Oh, go
like
ahead.
Johnny in a challenge is like just the funniest thing, and I
I
just want to
know
watch Johnny in a challenge forever.
one of our greatest athletes, and he is so like awkward in these physical challenges. It's very, very funny. Also, at one point, Rob picking up Mora, he's like, "Do you need a ride?" And then he
I
just like
know,
fireman carries her. I was like,
I
"What?"
know, I know. Rob and Kristen also in this challenge when she like didn't have like sleeves on, I was like,
Yeah,
Kristen
I
is hot.
know.
Kristen and Rob
I
are hot,
know.
and
I
Steven.
know.
They're the three to watch.
I know.
But also Candace's group, she's trying to get them to burn Michael's thing, and then they're like, "Oh, we're gonna go for Tiffany." And I was like, "Why is no
Yeah,
one listening to Candace? Like, Michael is the obvious like person to choose."
I
But
know.
I enjoyed Tiffany marching to the thing looking like Cadet Kelly. Speaking of
Yes,
Hillary Duff, she was just like doing the Cadet Kelly like ROTC run. It was
I
great.
know. I know.
I did not like when Ron Funches killed America's sweetheart, Tara Lipinski. I did not like that.
I know.
And then like Michael starts shouting Tara like Stella, like he was a Marlon Brando over it. He was like,
And he won't
Tara,
stop.
Tara. Tara. I know.
He just like oh God, he's so irritating. It's unbelievable that a person can be this irritating.
Well, we see who's in office. But anyways, I also loved Alan said when Rob picked up Mora, he was like, "You couldn't pick up Dorinda. She hasn't had a ride in a while."
I know, and then he like winked at the camera. Ugh,
um,
Alan Cumming deserves everything good in this world. I love him so
I
much.
know. I also said there was a missed opportunity when Rob was yelling Steven. He should have said it like Steven. That would have been a
Yeah,
missed opportunity, but that's
Rob
me.
wasn't bored. He doesn't know Laguna Beach,
Okay,
Caroline. He's young.
well, Rob came from like the swamp. Rob was not born like a normal human. Rob was born from the snakes. He's like Tarzan. He came from the
Yeah,
snakes. He's with the snakes. If you haven't been on
yeah.
his Instagram, Rob is always with the snakes. That was his thing on Love Island USA as well.
He
Um,
arrived on a fan boat. Yeah,
yeah. Um, so we find out that like there's a comment about like later when we get to the end of all of who's up eligible for murder. There's at least 10 people because they got all 10.
yeah.
There's Monet, Tara, Michael,
Jam Jam.
Jam Jam.
Jam Jam starts crying.
I know, and Monet says two fabulous gays up for murder. And this is when Ron really starts to go in on Mara, which is just like crazy. Also, a fun fact I found out this week about Mark Ballas's wife. She wrote "If I Were a Boy" by Beyonce.
Wow.
I know.
It's a very artistically talented family.
I know. I was like, whoa. I was like, of all of the I would say that's in like the top 5 Beyonce. So I was like,
Yeah,
that's a great
it's a
one.
good song.
This is when Colton really goes into overdrive about Tiffany.
Yeah.
And I was like, another black woman being thrown under the bus. I don't like this. I don't like I just did not like the tone, like we were saying. It's just the tone he was using talking about Tiffany this entire
Yeah.
episode. It was just like, it was really aggravating.
It was. And it was definitely just like a misread of who she is as a person. And the thing is too, is like Tiffany was doing the same thing you're doing, Colton. Like
Yeah,
she had a theory, she was following it, she was trying to get other people on her side. And like think about how powerful the two of you could have been if you had
I
joined
know.
forces instead of you going after her with
Yeah.
no evidence at all.
He's really trying to be Peter 3.0.
Yeah.
And it's like it's very apparent. It's like, babe, you're at least Peter was like kind of charming, and like you just turn off every cell inside
Well,
my
and also
body.
Peter waited longer to
Yes.
be this aggressive about pushing his agenda. You
Yes.
know, like it's too early for this.
Yeah. And so we're at the round table, and this is like continues, and you could tell Colton was like not ready for Tiffany's pushback. Like she was like
No.
really like going at it, and said like the iconic line where he's like, "Well, I'm gonna write your name down." And he's like, "Is it one F or two F's?" And she said, TIFFANY, like the company.
Like the company.
If she is not putting that on merch tomorrow, like
I
Tiffany,
know.
like if you did, like this is your way home. I will be buying TIFFANY, like the company merch. That was
Like the company. I know. I didn't the conversation about name spelling made me laugh though, because that is a recurring thing on this show that like nobody knows how to spell anybody's
well,
name. Remember Geraldine from season 1?
oh, it's bad. But it's like in particular, I think this frustrates me particularly with the black women who are cast because I think a lot of the men don't make an effort to learn like how their names are spelled, which is like
No.
what was so it's a pattern. I don't know. That's like an overall like game thing with this show. It's like, is it unconscious bias? Like I don't know if that's like what.
Yeah, I'm sure
Yeah.
it is. I'm sure that it is. You know, because Tiffany also like wasn't going to go down without a fight, and she defended herself, and that was
Yeah.
read as being traitorous and guilty. Um,
Yeah.
you
And
know, it's hard with this show though,
oh
because
yeah.
everyone's grasping at straws. But yeah,
Yeah, and it's what I hate, I don't know if you're watching with or without commercials. I watch without commercials, and I hate that this happens midway through every round table. It says keep shopping with the episode if you
I
want. I was like,
know,
no one's
I
wanting to shop
know,
with the episode. I'm
I
sorry,
know.
Peacock, I love you.
Jim and I were doing bits of like, do you want to buy one of Dorinda's brooches? Stay tuned for a QR code. Would you like a lock of Mark Ballas's hair? Stay tuned for a QR code.
It's just so crazy. And I was like, no one is defending Tiffany. And finally, Candace, like doing the Lord's work yet
I
again.
know. I
God,
know.
it was
And putting her neck on the line by
I
doing
know.
this.
And it was like such a genuine speech because it's like Tiffany was like, I am a single mother. I have a son and trying to get to college because she's like, I can't imagine. Again, I don't know what the lifespan is like for a gamer, like after you're on, like what kind of money that you're making, depending.
No
Like it's unless
idea.
you're like a Parvati or like a Sandra, like the people, Bit Boston Rob, like the names that we know. And
Yeah.
hopefully this like puts her back in the mix. I would assume.
I hope so.
Because she was great. I really loved her. I love the orange suit, but I thought she just had such a genuine argument and story and narrative of like why I wanted her to like continue to go on. It kind of reminded me of who is the blonde Big Brother player from 2 seasons ago that went out in the fight with Sandra? I can't think of her
Brittany?
name. Brittany, yeah. No, not
Yeah.
Brittany. That was last
Oh.
season, the one before, where they had the fight about the
Oh.
water at the table. Never mind.
I
But
don't know.
but and I just thought I really love that. I also wrote, I was like, Steve and Rob and Mark are hot because they don't speak over women.
They
Uh
don't. They don't. Something about Tiffany and like her whole speech about needing the money. The thing is,
yeah.
this is the celebrity version of the Traitors. However, in the US, I mean, everywhere, but there's a huge wealth disparity. It does not mean that these people
Yeah.
are wealthy. Like Dorinda does not need
No.
$250,000.
She's on for the exposure. Like that, like in the pride.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that does influence things. Like the money doesn't mean nothing, even though I personally think this is like a paltry amount of money
I
for a
know.
show this popular. Not in general. I'd love two hundred fifty
Oh
thousand
yeah.
dollars,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We would
but
love $250,000.
for
Yeah.
such a popular show, I'm always surprised. I'm like, that doesn't seem like enough.
It's like
But
I think the point what is crazy with these kind of shows now, it's like you have to remember like pre Instagram, pre TikTok, it would have actually probably been for the money, but now it's like, oh, what brand deals are you getting out of this?
yeah,
What followers are you getting? Like,
right.
unfortunately, that is like the game people are playing and like
Of course.
and
And you do get
recognition.
that does create exponentially more money for you in the long
Yeah.
run. So, yeah.
And then Candace flips it back to Ron. And I wrote this was the first time Dorinda was starting because she was like, "You don't tell us anything about your family, and you don't tell us anything about your life." And
Yeah.
and I think like that again, like that's like the game of housewives. Housewives, if you're not telling the housewives about your life, that's the stuff that's going to make you suspect, not your
Yeah.
strategy. It's you not revealing anything about yourself.
Yes, because then you get the speech. What did we all get told when we get cast on this show? Be real.
Yep. And that's what you do as a housewife. And then finally, we get the reveal from Eric. He's decided to speak up at the table. He's going to tell us the big thing that he heard. And he said he heard he made this like big impassioned speech to the traitors about why he should be saved, and then he said he heard a laugh. And he was like, I listen to a lot of music. I would listen to my songs over and over. I know exactly who the laugh is. And he was like, it was Tiffany. And this was so devastating. And like just a final blow in Tiffany's coffin. Cause it was like Eric is not one who's just gonna like throw an accusation. He just seems like a little
Yeah.
sweetie pie angel. Rob then has the funniest line where he says he's listened to Eric's music. The man knows pitch.
I mean, I feel like it's not, that's a false equivalence to be like, I listen to a lot. I'm a
Yeah,
music producer, so I can recognize somebody's
I
laugh.
know.
Like, I don't know. That's one of these things. Again, people defend themselves. They either defend like who they're suspicious of or like why they know things with like, in my opinion, not very compelling evidence. Like, no offense
No,
to Eric. I
yeah,
love him. He's a sweetie.
yeah.
Also on the topic of just like Black women not being treated super fairly on this show, it did feel a little,
It just,
it felt a little gross to be like, did he hear Candace's laugh and
I
he thinks
know.
it's Tiffany's laugh? And so there's something there where you're like, oh, I don't love that. Um, yeah, like that moment really crushed me because I was like, oh, this is gonna be the nail in Tiffany's coffin, and he's wrong. He's
Yeah, I
wrong.
know. And they do the vote, and it's like pretty unanimous, like against Tiffany, which was just like so devastating because I just really like you could tell like I think even though all of her picks at that point were wrong, I do think she would have been great long term in the game. I
Yeah,
really
of
was liking
course.
her. So it was really devastating to see her in the circle. I was like, at least like she went out looking amazing. She had a couple of
Yes.
like iconic moments at the table. And I appreciate her saying like, "You all didn't deserve me," and I was like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
they didn't. Like, they lost a really good player. This was so stupid. You should not have listened to Colton. Don't listen to like a man who like thinks because they're never gonna be so sure."
No, and the one like recourse in the show is that you do get to see everyone's reaction when they realize how fucking wrong they were. And this is one of these moments, as much as I like a lot of these people, I was
Yeah,
like, I hope you feel so bad about ganging up on this woman. And when you had almost nothing,
I know.
no evidence to go
Nothing.
on, and it all caught like this is what happens on the show though, especially in the early episodes where they have so little to go on. Someone plants a seed and it just like it's like wildfire.
I know.
Um,
When
yeah,
when
this
like
was
when like y'all really could have just followed the stuff with Ron after Donna being a traitor and the two of
yeah,
them like teaming up like that just like was such an easy 1-to-1 for me. I was like, yeah, vote for Ron. Like that makes
I
sense.
know.
Um so we unfortunately Tiffany is gone and what's interesting after this, Michael is the first one to mention Rob. In any of these he
Mm.
was like it's one of these hunks, Colton
One
or
of these
Rob.
hogs.
And I was
Or
like taken
or
aback.
Steven. He said or
Yes, or
Steven.
Steven, yeah. And
Yeah,
I was like, that's pretty unfortunately, that was astute on his part, even though he
it
sucks.
was.
But I was like I like was taken aback that Michael actually was like guessing one correctly, even though
I
he had
think
no
that
idea.
was probably just luck because in
Yeah.
the previous episode he was very obsessed with like there are this many housewives, there are this many gamers or whatever. So I think it was just him doing one of his like there are three hunky dudes who so one of them must be
Yeah.
like I think it was pure luck. I don't want to call that man smart.
Yeah, no, I know. It was just like it took me by surprise.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
then the traitors are in the turret and they're discussing who they want to murder. And this is where Candace reveals to Renna that Monet has brought her name up. And because they were going through like, well, we could go Johnny and Rob. I love very like slyly he protects Mora. He was like, no, like don't get Mora. I was like, okay, now I'm sort of like if Mora and Rob end up together in this, that would be so crazy.
I wouldn't be mad at that. I would
I
not
wouldn't
be
be
mad
mad
at
at it.
that.
It's just like very funny because I never would have thought that, like watching Love Island, I never would have pictured these two having any sort of sexual chemistry together. So it's like fascinating.
There's a vibe.
There's a vibe. And then so that is the end of episode 4. We don't know who they're going to murder, so we go into episode 5. And here is what I thought was immediately funny. As everyone's coming into breakfast, I was like, wow, okay, we've got one woman in a blazer, another woman in a blazer, another woman in a blazer, another woman in a blazer. I was like, wow, did they just take all of the blazers from the backup dancers on the Eras tour during The Man when Taylor's like, oh, wait, you're making me feel like I'm the man, and every single one of them is wearing a sparkly like three button blazer. If you watch the Eras
Hmm.
tour, that's my just no. If you watch that and
Okay,
just
that's your Taylor for the evening.
that's the only.
I'm
But
kidding.
no,
I'm
once
kidding.
you,
If
I
you need
know.
more, you can take more.
Candace's dress, I was like giggling at because I think this also happens on Bravo a lot, where there's like one outfit that like circulates throughout the shows. Like for several years ago, it was the Mugler suit that was this like cat suit that like had and it was like on every single Housewives franchise. And I was like, oh,
Uh,
Candace's pink and white dress, Madison is currently wearing in her confessionals on Southern Charm. So I was like,
oh
we're
my
probably gonna
God.
see this dress on like another Housewives show I haven't seen
I
yet. So
mean,
that
it
was like,
makes sense. They're also obsessed with fashion that they go to all the same fashion week
yeah,
shows. I immediately when Maura came in that like navy blue like double breasted
yeah.
blazer, I was like, oh, she'll be flying the friendly skies later. I see.
I know that's again another one of our man backup dancers. It just was
Yeah.
like all of
Or
them.
as you like to say, Captain Sandy on Below
Cap
Deck.
Captain Sandy. And I did also side note with Southern Charm. Like if you watch Bravo, I do think Craig has to be on Traitors. He is like a vile human, and you never know if he's telling the truth. And I do think he'll be on Traitors eventually. That's my future
Okay.
casting prediction. And I jumped out of my skin when Rob walks in his fucking overalls that they've come
I
back from Love Island. They're in a lighter shade. He brought back in the overalls with no shirt underneath. I was like, this
no.
man. I
I know. He looks like he's in a production of Oklahoma, like
I
sexy Oklahoma.
I know he's like ready to go out back into the swamp. It just is like so crazy. When Michael came in, I was like, Michael has nine. Oh yeah, who said it was? Yeah, that they have Michael has 9 lives. And I thought immediately, like when Ron came in the orange jacket, I was like, did he just steal like Tiffany's outfit?
I was so surprised to see him doing a little fashion.
It was,
I love that. I love
it
that
was,
like bright orange trench. I was very surprised. Yeah, I did have a moment where I was like, did he just like go to the producers and was like, do you guys have any like fun fashiony things I could throw on for
I know.
breakfast?
And then we get into a conversation where we find out that most of the people don't realize that Colton went on The Bachelor as a heterosexual.
Yes, this was
And
very interesting.
sort of like circles back to something later in the episode. And Dorinda was like, wow, if I had been close to you. And I was like, oh my God, Dorinda like can't help herself. Like it
She really
just,
can't. I also was like, it was funny because I think it was Dorinda or somebody else was like, "Oh, I didn't realize you went on the show as a heterosexual." I'm like,
yeah,
uh, there, gay people don't really exist on The Bachelor until after they're on The Bachelor.
I
Gabby,
know.
Wendy, like, I was just like, "What did you think you went on the show as?" It's a very heterosexual show.
Oh, and also
I love a
Becca
gay bachelor, but
Becca and who was the other one? The two that ended up together. Honestly, if there's not a PhD student out there right now working on a thesis of like the bachelor to queer pipeline, like I we've got plenty of evidence for
I
you.
mean, it is a heterosexual pressure cooker, so
Correct.
it makes sense. Pressure
Uh,
is what creates a diamond,
Diamond,
so it does make
so to speak.
sense.
And before we get to who was murdered, I did notice because they mentioned in both episodes. I guess the smoked salmon is a hot item. Everyone's like, I
Oh
want
my
to get in
god,
first so I can have the salmon. I was like, oh my
this
God,
is the smoked salmon is however many seasons ago Phaedra was on like the
eggs.
boiled eggs. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're they always get so fixated on some breakfast item. I mean, listen. Lox is one of my favorite foods, so I understand.
It's
I say this all the time when we're watching. I'm dying to go to that breakfast. That breakfast looks awesome.
I hope it
I
is. I
want
hope
to
it's not cold. I always worried, like knowing like how things are filmed. I'm like, has that been? How long has that been sitting out
I'd
for?
still eat it. I'd still be thrilled. You know me. You've stayed at a Hampton Inn and Suites with me. I will eat the mass, the mass quantity egg pan,
Yeah, well,
the
it's just
scrambled
a
egg
deal.
sponge, the
It's just
communal scrambled egg sponge. So I'll eat it. I'll be excited about it. I'll eat it. I don't care if it's cold.
ugh. And we find out that Monet has been murdered, which
That really bummed me out.
ugh,
I
it
really
really
liked
sucked. It really sucked. We
Monet.
love Monet, but I at least Monet can go out knowing she played a great game and like she was on to a traitor, and the only reason why
She
she's
was.
murdered, and that was like again the traitors doing a great job. They snuffed out the one person who happened to tell another traitor. They suspected a traitor and not anyone else, and they were out. So it
Still
was like
slightly risky though, because if Monet had told other people, they didn't
right,
know if Monet had told other people. And if she had, that might
right.
have pointed the finger at Lisa.
Yeah, but it was, I think, ultimately the right move. I think
It was.
Johnny was my other person, even though I don't want to see Johnny go. I need to see Johnny. Johnny is my vote for who was the British guy last season that made it to the end as a faithful?
Oh, the guy who was like
Ivar,
a lord.
Ivar, yeah,
Ivar. Yeah,
Ivar,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. That's Johnny might be our Ivar of the season. Like he's not going to really do much, and but he's somehow going to end up in the
Yeah, he'll
finale.
still, yeah, exactly. He'll be at the finale and you'll have that thought of like, how did you get all the
How'd
way?
you get here? Because you've been haven't done a single thing in any of these challenges.
Some people just get there by luck,
And,
purely.
and that's the way it is sometimes. And so we find out like after breakfast, during like Ron now is suspecting Michael and Dorinda, and his takes
Yes.
are just like they go from like left. It's just like I don't know. Like he was like, oh well, I'm not going after Mora, like because they had their back and forth at the round table, Mora and Ron the previous
Yeah.
episode, and then now he's like on to Michael and Dorinda. He like left Mora, now he's on Michael and Dorinda.
The
It's
thing
just
that's annoying me is like it wouldn't be that obvious. Like Michael and Dorinda are already friendly, so it really wouldn't make sense.
no.
Like and the same, and I would say the same thing about how everybody was like, Ron is suspicious because he was hanging out with Donna Kelsey. Why would the traitors be that obvious?
Right,
Like
right.
use your head, guys.
I know. Let us know in the comments if you're agreeing anything with us on these things. We're
Yes,
watching the chat. We're watching the chat.
we are.
And so then also we start to finally see that people are starting to suspect Colton as they should. after that previous huge take that he went the previous episode. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and we go into the next challenge. And we find out that it's like there's a fountain at the base of the castle where there
Yeah.
are statues, and they've got to go into this like murky water, diving in and finding coins that tell them where on the grounds they have to go find the statue to bring it
Yeah.
back. But there are decoy coins, and then there are ones that tell them, but then the other ones tell them the location of where they have to go to get the statue. That's obviously very heavy. Bring it back to the castle. If they get all 8 of them, it's gonna like start shooting blood, basically, when if they're successful. Um,
Yes,
and
and it's an all or nothing mission, so they don't
yeah,
bank any of the money unless they get all of them.
and then there's also secret shields in this. So basically, if none of them take a shield, no one is murdered the next evening, and everyone can
Yeah.
rest easy. But if one person takes a shield, then people are eligible for murder. So there's also this
Yes.
element to the challenge of a bit of like strategy of like, is someone going to take the shield? Are they going to admit they took a shield? We
Yeah.
don't know. And I just think Natalie is very good in these challenges because this is the second
She's
time
in
where
yeah.
immediately like, she has a strategy where she's like, "Hey, if there's a decoy coin, throw it out, so we're not grabbing at it again." I was like, "That is so
Right.
smart,
She's
so
so
smart."
smart. She's so, so smart. Yeah, and then meanwhile, Michael, like, keeps shouting out, "This one's fake." It's like, you don't need to
No,
tell
you
everybody.
don't need to tell. Just throw it out. I was like, I wrote Johnny's dressed like a mom at the mall in his like all
Yeah.
zebra outfit. I was like, he looks like he's about to go walk, do his laps.
Speed walking,
Yeah,
through the mall.
and I knew this was when my girl Candace was going to be a star because I was like, this my girl is not meant for the hard life. She's not meant for
Yeah.
anything.
I
And
know.
she's
She
like,
was so
she's
upset.
saying, who's gonna take care of my coochie?
Yeah,
And
she was like, "What if I get a yeast infection from going in this water?"
I was like, honestly, valid question. I was like, I wouldn't want to be in that water either. But I was like, that God, I was like, I love my girl's meant for a soundbite. She's just I as I've said, my favorite housewife of all time, and she's like not doing me wrong. And I'm so proud of her, just like being America's sweetheart, but also doing a great job in the game. So Candace,
Yeah,
if you're watching, I'm so proud
we're
of you.
rooting for
We're
you.
rooting
Yeah,
for
we're
you.
rooting.
And I love, you can tell how much Alan also loves Candace. He's like, when he's like
I
laughing at her,
know.
when she's got like her ass up in the water, he's like, there's a lot to butt.
Lot of
Like,
butt.
there's a lot to butt here. And then, uh, there's the last one in Michael Gross. He's like, oh, the labyrinth.
Labyrinth, I know. The man doesn't know how to read. He doesn't understand any of the missions. Also, we need to talk about the way he eats food because it
Oh,
is
it's bad. It's really bad.
he looks like those videos of like turtles eating fruit where they're like
Yes. I,
it's like that plus like shoveling it into it's so
also,
like how have you gotten this far in your life eating that way in public?
I say this with like all kindness. How has no one talked to him about a moisturizer?
Okay, how many women do you think that man has in his life? Because if you were a woman who was around men, heterosexual men learn how to moisturize their faces
I
from
know.
their female significant others.
I don't
Who
know.
wants to be around that man?
It was crazy. Yeah, not us. But also I love there's a cutaway to an otter when they're crossing the riverbank. I don't know if
I
you saw that.
know.
That little
I know.
otter.
It
Uh,
was probably stock video, but I like to imagine
it was
there was an
great.
otter
And
there.
we see at some point like we see potentially like near the end of the challenge, two groups find 4 separate shields, and we see this back
Mhm.
and forth. And we're like, oh, we don't know. Did they take the
Yeah.
shields? Also, I love that Candace said the devil is busy across the riverbank when they were crossing, and they found the last statue at that.
Yes. I was trying to look because I was like, if people did grab shields, like some of these people are just wearing like a sports bra and
Yeah,
leggings. So like it would
where
be
do they put it?
pretty obvious. And I did even pause and like try to look. It looked like maybe Natalie had one like
Oh,
shoved in the back of
yeah.
her. It could have been like a mic pack, or I was just like seeing things, but like I was really trying because I was like, there's so little places to put it on some of these outfits.
Uh,
Because they didn't give them their little Traitors like satchels, they sometimes
right.
give them.
I know. No little no, they're like, no, 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 you don't get the satchels this time. We gotta
No,
really figure it out. But they are ultimately successful. They bank the money, but we don't know
the
who cut
fountain
the
shoots
shot
blood.
blood. It's like it's the first day of your period. It was just like blood, blood everywhere.
Yep.
And
You're ruining some pants.
yeah, it's not safe. No one's marked safe there. And we get to like
I
everyone's
once
back at
ruined a blazer.
you were in a blazer?
Speaking of blazers, I ruined a blazer once. Well, we don't need to talk about
Okay,
it.
all right, we don't need to get into that on the live. And then we cut to everyone back at the castle. They're starting to talk before the banishment. And I was screaming. So it's funny. Andy texted me about why is she always Renna refer to him as Harry Hamlin and not her husband. I was like, oh, babe, that this is the if you want to just you can pause and go to a quick Google Lisa Renna Harry Hamlin. There is for sure an edit because she only calls him as Harry Hamlin on Housewives. It's Harry Hamlin. Harry Hamlin's famous sauce. Harry Hamlin, can you believe Harry Hamlin made this? Harry Hamlin's been filming in Canada. Harry Hamlin and I have the greatest sex. Harry Hamlin has great blowjobs. It is Harry Hamlin nonstop. So it was like very funny for you to
Oh,
also pick up on that because
weird.
that's her thing. She calls him Harry Hamlin. Oh, Harry
So
Hamlin.
strange. So
Harry Hamlin will be
strange.
upset about this.
Oh, this was also around the time that I noticed that Eric was doing a thing that I do, where he just like starts talking in a British accent for no reason.
I love that. It's,
I mean, the reason is probably, they're in Scotland,
of
so,
course,
whatever. But like, uh, yeah, he was like, "Oh, home sweet home. Does anyone want tea?" Like, this is just something that like I do. It's probably a neurodivergent trait, but I was just like, this is very it's very funny to see
it's
somebody
very
who like
sweet.
has forgotten about the fact that they're constantly being filmed and is just being themselves.
And it's like that's and those are the moments we love on our reality shows. We love when they forget that the cameras are around them.
Yep.
And we see the first sort of one-on-one. I never in a million years would I ever thought I would see Dorinda Medley and Stephen Coletti at a one-on-one by themselves eating their food. I was like, this is my brain on like an edible never could have thought this fantasy up. But they're sort of talking about the Ron stuff and how he keeps deflecting the vote away, that he keeps being able to like push it back. And Ron walks in like a bright orange Inspector Gadget while they're like talking about him. And they're like, well, who do you think? And he was like, well, I think you and Michael to Dorinda. Dorinda's like, why would you say that? And she's like, I've not even voted for you. Like, where is this even coming from? And so that's like one little fire that's like started like before the vote.
Mhm.
And then I also was like, how much did Olipop pay to get featured this season?
I
Because there's an
know.
Olipop can in like almost every scene.
I know. I think it's the only soda that they have
Yeah,
available to them.
it's crazy because there's no other brands that we see, but we see Olipop. It's like fascinating.
No, they got a deal. And stick around because you'll get a QR code for
At
some Olipop at the end of this live.
the end of this live, we will personally buy each of you an Olipop. Uh, yeah, Olipop is like has a very intense taste. I want
It
to.
has
I
a
need.
bad aftertaste too. I am not pro let's like healthify soda. Soda is soda. Let me drink
Yeah,
soda. Also, they all have like chicory root in it. So like it is fart city. You're not supposed to be drinking fiber through chicory root. Like, no. I
I, but
let soda
Andy,
be soda.
Andy, you didn't hear 2026 is the year of protein and fiber, so it's like all we like. We just all we are macros
What's
now. We aren't
fiber?
human. We're just
I know.
macros. Yeah.
I know. I have nothing against fiber. I love fiber. I need a lot of fiber in my diet. I just don't want it in my soda.
I know. And that's what I wrote. I think I was like, oh God, they're all jacked up on Olipop is when we start to have this fight in the kitchen. So we
Yeah.
start to have the Colton and Michael one-on-one. Everyone's sort of in the kitchen. I was like, these faithfuls are just like all on testosterone, yelling
Yep.
at each other. Michael starts yelling at him. He's like, oh, everyone's Colton's killers. You went after Tiffany. And it's like they're both so self-righteous. It's like both of them are wrong. Both like
Yeah.
neither one is right in this
That's
fight.
the most infuriating thing about watching it is like obviously they can't know this, but I'm like, you're both fucking wrong. So just
Yeah.
shut.
Like it's like you can tell everyone in the room is like, why am I being forced to like go through this? Like this is the
Yep.
most insufferable conversation to have to be a part of.
Hmm.
But I did enjoy Rob's Michael impersonation that he did before they go
Yeah.
to the round table was like pretty funny. And we go to the round table. And as we saw in the preview from the end of episode 4, we can tell it's pretty much going to be Colton versus Michael.
Yep.
It, it feels like celebrity deathmatch, but like
It does.
we all lose.
Yeah.
And Michael starts and he like is like, oh, conniving. Starts. He's looked up every like when he had his off time, he got his phone. He got a dictionary and like found like all the words that start with C, and he like wrote them on the inside of his hand.
That is,
Uh,
yeah, exactly.
like he's studying for the
Yeah.
SAT.
And it got smudged, which is why he keeps saying commiseration, even though that's
Colluding.
when Rob called that out and was like, I'm sorry, I need to interrupt here because commiseration doesn't mean what you think it means. I was like, not Rob Roush
Rob, I know.
correcting Michael Rappaport's
In his
verbiage.
overalls. In his
That's
overalls. In his overalls.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. He's looking like he's about to like head out and like haul some bales of hay. Like I can't. It
I
was
know.
amazing.
But it also Colton like sent a shiver down my spine while he's in his like stupid sweater vest and he's
Yep.
staring with his arms crossed. And I was like, he has like
Hmm.
the stare of a serial killer.
He
Like it was
does.
just like he's very unsettling to me. Both Michael and Colton are unsettling to me. And then Michael, like, it sort of feels like he has an argument and then makes I just this was very tough. It's like it was like as soon as he says this, I was like, okay, there's no way you're gone.
There's no coming back from
He
this. You're dead.
basically alludes to Colton. We're bringing back the conversation from breakfast that like you are a good liar because you were in the closet for 29 years, and
Yes.
essentially, yeah,
And
and
he
it
doesn't say that exactly, but he
exactly,
was
but
like,
that's
who would be better at keeping a long-term lie? And it's like everybody knows what you're saying. He tries to backpedal it because
yeah,
everybody
everyone
in
has
the
a
room,
reaction.
including people who like don't speak up at the
Johnny,
round table, like Johnny was like,
yeah,
okay, that sucks.
yeah, all of my strong, quiet baby angels, Kristen, Mark, Eric, and John, like they all had. I was like my little quiet introverts on the side. They're speaking up.
mhm.
The choir is rising.
Yes.
Um, but it was like immediately then it was like that's happened, and then I think Ron starts talking about Michael and Dorinda, and I was like Housewife Hunter. I was like, how is this not merch yet?
Housewife Hunter. Yeah.
And I was like, Dorinda's starting when she's like, I've asked you where you live. I was like, oh boy, we've started with
Yep.
Dorinda.
Yep.
And it just was like, I just started writing a lot of notes. I was like, men ruined this game, get Michael out. It just was like, it was hard to honestly keep track at this point because it's
It
like
was.
Michael really ruins the conversation at the table.
He
And
does.
it's like at this point, it's like, who cares if you're like, and they said, they're like, who cares if you're a faithful or a traitor? Because you
Yeah.
just make it impossible for anyone to get ahead. And honestly,
Yeah.
I had the thought at this point, I was like, this has been in the benefit of the Traitors because they've not had any heat on them because Michael has deflected everything.
Which is, I think, the reason why they're keeping him around because I don't know if I said this last time we went live, but the Traitors could have killed him and nobody
Actually,
would have.
they
Oh, go
couldn't
ahead.
have they couldn't have yet
Oh
because
yeah, he wasn't up for it. Yeah.
yeah,
But I had been thinking like if they do kill him, like everyone would celebrate at breakfast. Like they wouldn't care.
yeah, and
I was glad that the conversation turned to like I just don't want you here, regardless of like whether you're
yep,
on our side or not. Like you're ruining the experience for everybody, so you need to leave.
yep.
I
And
really appreciated that.
and you could tell it was like just so frustrating for all of the queer people at the table just to like have that sort of like aggressive experience of someone like weaponizing their sexuality against
Yeah.
them. It's just so aggravating to what you just could feel again. It was like the Tiffany stuff again, and it was just like it's just so aggravating to feel that like as a viewer, and I just can only imagine like what that's putting on you as like a queer person, like having that.
Yeah. It
It was
sucks.
it really
It
sucks.
sucks. And I
And
also hate that like Michael's like, no, I'm very self-aware. Like I know when I'm like going
no,
overboard.
you don't.
Sometimes I can't stop it, but I know. And I'm like, that's not you just
Yeah,
missed the definition of self-awareness entirely.
yeah. It was
Like
really
it doesn't that's like someone doing something shitty to you and being like, I know I did something shitty, therefore it's okay that I did it. It's like, no,
yep.
no, not how
Uh,
it works.
It's not how it works. And we get to the vote. And one thing before we get to like the vote where everyone cheers, I was like, is it gonna backfire that all the housewives voted for Ron? Because the people that voted for Ron, I was like, Candace, I think is fine, but it was the votes for Ron were Candace, Dorinda, Renna, Michael, and Steven. So those were the five.
Why would that backfire?
I was just like thinking later, they're like, oh, interesting that none of the housewives voted for Michael. And I just like I'm thinking like long term game
Ooh.
wise of like why would they not vote for
Oh.
Michael?
Yeah, I
Is
think
that gonna
that
put heat on
probably
them?
mainly had to do. Yeah, I think that probably mainly had to do with Candace. Candace made that whole speech about being consistent, and as we've been saying, like people really like look to her and kind of follow her. Like she's, I think people just trust her, and I think her speech about consistency made people feel like they wanted to also
Yeah,
show that they
exactly.
were being consistent as well. Also, they could have there could be people that are like, you know what, I really don't think Michael is a traitor and like I do want to actually play the game instead of just trying to get this
Exactly.
guy out because he sucks. So I don't know, but that you might not be wrong.
Yeah,
People
just
might get some heat from that.
it's just
Everybody reads into everything on
I
this show, so
know.
it's very possible.
So it's just like that was something I was like, this might be something just to keep in mind that it could come back. I was just like, I
Yeah.
like noticed that in the vote. And also with someone in the chat saying, Michael going after Colton reminded them of Survivor when Zeke was outed. Which unfortunately we are not. Okay, I hate to tell you, we're not gamer as well, but like, do you know this season of Survivor?
I
I don't know that.
don't. I don't.
Now we're going to go back.
My survivor knowledge is unfortunately limited. I could tell you about Rupert from season 10, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's limited, but I we
Okay.
trust you. We
We
trust you,
trust.
Callie
Yeah.
V6.
I know.
We trust you. I'm sure you're right.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go back and watch that clip, I guess, of Zeke now when we're done with this. But
Yeah.
I just loved. Okay, well, Mara was there was two things I loved. Candace had her hand on Johnny's arm when the vote was finished as like a tender, like her checking in with him after that. I like,
Hmm.
God, I love her so much. But I loved
Yeah.
Mara's final lines that I wrote where she was like, "I am sick of the Michael show. You talk way too much and you don't say a lot." And I was like, that's my girl. That's my
I know.
Mara.
I think we're gonna see. I think people underestimate her and like assume that I don't know, like she's very tiny, and I
She's
think people maybe
astute.
like assume that yeah, she's smarter than she gives off, and I think people will come to see that at some point,
Yeah.
hopefully.
And
Yeah.
Michael does the worst speech in the world in the
Oh my
circle. That was just like
god.
so it was like enough.
Ah,
It
oh, it
just
made me so
it
uncomfortable.
honestly was like
Why?
I just was like I have to imagine this is what it would feel like if like Trump were playing Traitors. Like I have to
Yeah,
imagine.
I
It's like
mean,
it's
the
on that level,
comparisons are
like
very,
one
very
to
obvious.
one.
I don't know
Yeah.
why he keeps calling himself the most attractive because like that feels like that has to be a
Mhm.
joke, but he
Yeah.
says it with such seriousness that I'm like, do you really believe this? Like,
I
there's no
know.
way.
There's no way, but
Rob is in his overalls. He's
I
shirtless
know.
in his overalls.
It's
Can't-
crazy. But everyone's just ding dong, and then we like go to like everyone's sort of like recapping afterwards. Everyone's relieved. And first we get my little quiet angels, my little like accelerated readers in the corner. Eric, Kristen, and Mark Ballas. They talk about
Accelerated readers.
they were at the top. They were as someone who was number one accelerated reader in her grade in fourth grade. I know those accelerators were in the
The
top.
least surprising thing I've ever heard in my life.
But Kristen was like, if I'm murdered soon, no, it was Colton. And she was like, I see how he's like making the big swings and like doing this.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, we're getting on to, I was like, we got one head of the dragon. We're now about to get the second head of the dragon. I'm really hoping.
Yes.
And then we
Yeah.
see,
And the thing is, like, again, you guys are wrong, but I'm validated that the natural progression that
Christian
usually happens on
is,
traders is
yeah,
happening, where the person who is the loudest and is
this is
directing the
getting,
conversation, it
is
comes
out.
back around on them because it's not a smart way to play the game. It's
No,
not. It's just not.
it's not. And then we get the cute little aside of like my favorite little trio of Candace, Johnny, and Tara. And they're like, well, you know, we're all faithfuls. Like, we're all fine. And I was like, oh no, it's going to be really devastating when they find out that Candace is a traitor. I'm
I
really going to be
know.
upset.
I
But because I
know.
love the three of them. And then, oh God. So then we get to the like end part. We're like
Also,
right before.
wait, quick note. When Candace leaves, Johnny and Tara have a moment where they can like
Oh yeah.
snuggle, and I'm like, it's so funny that the two of them still think this far in that it's necessary for them to pretend that they're not close because like I don't think anyone cares.
No
So
one is
like
suspecting either one
good
of
for
them.
them.
Yeah,
Whatever.
I love that they have that strategy with each other. It's like
Yeah.
such a like two brain cells going like, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, and then we get into this room that Rob is also in with Colton and a few others. And this is when I called this last episode. I was like, Rena's days are numbered. Because then he was like, she's being too quiet. I was like, I know. I was like, Rinna has been way too quiet because Rinna has never missed an opportunity to gab in her life and to like yell and accuse anyone. So her tactic of going under the radar is like so against her normal personality.
Only at the round table though, is which is what makes it suspicious. And Colton,
Yeah,
I hate to call him
I know.
smart, but it was smart of him to ask Dorinda, because Dorinda honestly was like, no, it is weird. She's usually
And
not like this.
And Dorinda, yes, ands that. And also, I had a side note joke for myself. I was like, I know he watches Beverly Hills and Erica Jane is his favorite, and that makes me roll my eyes for a 900 million reasons. And I knew, and then they brought up the Portia vote. The Portia vote came back full circle. That Rinna
Mm-hmm.
voted for Portia at the first round table, and Rob had
Mm-hmm.
the finger in his mouth. And this is like what we said. I was like, this is the point. If you have to abandon a traitor, this is the time to do it because of the way the game is progressing. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
if they are suspecting a traitor, like it's not coming like as a strategy within the turret. It's just
No.
sort of it's like if the heat is getting too high, unfortunately they will need to sacrifice another traitor soon for their
Yeah.
benefit.
Yeah.
But that leaves us at the end of episode 5, and I heard there was a lot of talk in interviews that Alan Cumming said episode 6 is the one he's the most excited for everyone to see, and we see in the preview there's this like dining room table with these like
Yes.
little jewelry box things and like brooches inside. So I'm like, I don't know what this twist is going to be. I'm very excited to see like where things are going to go because we don't know again if anyone took a shield. That was not left with us at the end of the episode. So we don't
Yes.
know if
We don't know. We do know that the group that Candace and
Lorena and
Rinna were
Colton.
in, they
Yeah.
did not take a shield. Um, yeah, so we're not sure about everyone else though.
But I think it's going to be but I as I predicted at the beginning of the episode, I think this is building to Dorinda versus Rinna at the table. I think
Oh boy.
that's my big swing prediction. Going into the next week's episode. We only have one episode next week, so we will be on earlier. We can all go to bed earlier. But I'm feeling just like again, I don't know this. I feel so jacked up after I watch these episodes. Like
I love the show. I love
it's
the show. Also, we were saying this before we got on live. We need uh Alan's
murderous
murder top.
sweater. Yeah, if that's not on the key, if that's not available for me to shop for while I'm watching,
Yes,
then Peacock, you're missing the boat. Like, I don't want to
you
buy
really
anything
are.
else because that's what
Yes.
I want to own. If it's not on
Yeah,
Etsy by midnight tonight, I will be upset by the
I
greater
know.
community at large. But thank you so much, everyone, for joining us tonight. For everyone in the chat, and if you're watching later, we'll be back live next Thursday after episode 6. Probably around, I'm assuming, I don't know, 7:30 PST, 9:30 Central, 10:30 East Coast. I think that's how math works. But we'll let you know more specifically. But we also will, if you haven't caught up with our industry recaps yet, we are still recapping that every Sunday. And we have some exciting Sex and the City things coming up for you. So we thank you so much again for joining us tonight. Again, we're on Instagram, TikTok. Let's keep the conversation going. Let us know in the comments what you think. And we'll see you later, traitors and faithfuls. Good night.